Simulation, binomial variable. Session prerequisites. Browse through our earlier material on random variables, uniform, binomial. In preparation, please have the spreadsheet open on your computer and follow along. Maximum benefit guaranteed. Learning objectives. Arrive at the parameters n, p to simulate a binomial variable.
You know, Lisa, I'm looking at male managers from our census data set.
If you were a manager, you'd make over 50K.
Well, thanks for that vote of confidence. There are about 6,400 male managers who make over 50K. And that's out of a grand total of about 20,400.
That's almost 1 in 3 by my calculations.
It's 31.4% to be precise. Now, suppose I drew a random sample of males from this data set. I'd want to know how many in the sample are in this over 50K category.
Easy peasy. If your sample size was 100, I would say 31 of them would fit the description.
Aha! That's like saying if I toss this coin 4 times, then it would show up heads exactly twice. That's not the case, right? Welcome to Statistics for Business 2. I'm Shankar and this is Lisa.
And I make over 50K as his manager.
It's much more than that, I know. Earlier this week, we discovered a variety of random variables that can model business phenomena. Could you give us some examples, Lisa?
Sure. There's the binomial, which is discrete, and the exponential, which is continuous.
I'm impressed. And a binomial variable is a good choice to model events with 2 outcomes.
Let me guess. A male manager can be making over 50K or under.
Let's apply that to my sample of 100 male managers. I don't want to declare that exactly 31 of them make over 50K. That's not the way Lady Luck operates.
One day I'll figure her out.
Everybody does this the first time around. You see, it depends on the luck of the draw. To illustrate this, we could generate a whole bunch of samples and then count the number of such managers in each sample.
I wouldn't take up that task. You kidding me?
You bet. Luckily, there's a better way out. We already know that these counts are going to be binomially distributed.
With n equal to 100 and p equal to 0.314?
Yes. And before you run off to build its distribution on a spreadsheet, let me say that's not the solution to our problem.
Really? This isn't easy peasy.
Yes, the PMF only tells us how often a binomial count must be generated, but not in a natural sequence.
I now see the challenge.
This is the primary goal of a simulation. If you recall, we've already simulated one kind of a variable.
Really? Must have been that champagne I had.
The uniform distribution. We use this to select a simple random sample from a larger data set.
Now I remember, we used rand between and rand.
You have great recall, Lisa. Spreadsheets also support a function that generates a binomially distributed set of numbers. It's called crit binom. Here are the parameters and their meanings. Alpha denotes cumulative probability. We'll take this to be a uniformly generated random number between 0 and 1.
Let me think. Each time you invoke crit binom, it's like generating one element of a sample.
And counting the managers in the over 50K category. I'll now open a new sheet in our existing spreadsheet. We've called it binom sim. Let's put down the parameters here. I have the size of the sample as 100 constantly. The success probability is 0.314 for the probability of finding managers making over 50K. And I will take 200 samples. We'll now proceed in 2 steps. First, I'll generate 200 random numbers. And then I'm going to use those numbers as arguments for the alpha parameter of crit binom. Let me proceed with that. So here I have rand, which gives me a uniform random number between 0 and 1. I'll double click this, and before I forget, I'll copy this into a buffer, paste special as values. This is just to make sure that they are frozen. In my second step, I will use crit binom with the number of trials being 100, the probability of finding managers making over 50K being 0.314, and both of these with dollar signs fixes the values, and my alpha parameter will be this random number. And when I hit return, I get a round number, 28 this time, standing for the number of managers in my sample of 100 making over $50,000. As you see, it is not 31 or 32, it's 28. I will propagate this to the entire column, and just to be sure, let's go down. There are 200 samples that I have taken. Let me get back up again.
It all feels like magic to me. Why does it work?
I'll explain soon. Just stick with me for now, okay?